Welcome to Mangastorian's Complete Story series. Today we'll be covering the next parts of Berserk, moving past the Golden Age, but we do want to apologize and make note of a particular situation that happened. We ended up skipping over a couple of chapters by mistake. The reason we're mentioning these is because these chapters clarify that Casca has lost her mind and is no longer mentally there due to the events that happened during the eclipse. So we wanted to let you know that that is the state that she is currently in. We had to let you know because we skipped the chapters. Anyway, at the end of our last video, Guts and Casca escaped the eclipse with the aid of the Skull Knight. But while recovering in the blacksmith Godo's mineral cave, Guts and the rest were attacked by a demon who was attracted by the brands on Guts and Casca's body. Using the giant sword of the Dragon Slayer, Guts cut down the demon and he set out to find Griffith and make him pay for what he's done. Out on the Midland border, an army marches to the scene of where the eclipse took place. As some of the townspeople watch, they see a flag held high, and they notice that it's the flag of the Knights of the Holy Iron Chain. One of the knights looks back at the women and children and states that it's a beautiful sight to see a woman and son on a pilgrimage. Another knight calls out to Serpico, telling him that they need to focus on the mission at hand. Serpico laughs, telling the knight, "So what? That's probably why I'm still single at my old age." The female commander tells the two of them to be quiet. They're here for a reason. And just as the female commander finishes, a messenger rides up stating that they have found it. The prophecy was not mistaken. It is the Red Lake. The messenger then leads the group to the lake where the eclipse took place, and they see hundreds of disfigured and dismembered bodies scattered across the waters. The older knight says that it's the fifth sign of the apocalypse, the tide of the sun's end, and the female commander takes her helmet off, stating that it is the sign of the Dark Hawk. The Dark Hawk will call forth an era of darkness upon the world. 2 years have passed since that day, and a group of bandits sit around a campfire after a night of pillaging. One of the bandits complains that there isn't much food to take this time, and another one says that the only decent thing that they got was this little brat that they can sell. Another bandit jumps up, untying the rope from his pants, and he begins licking the girl's face while groping her. But as he goes too far, he runs away embarrassed. The bandit from before calls him a wuss and then asks everyone if they know about this tree. He goes on stating that long ago there were a bunch of druids that lived here, and they used to nail human guts to the tree and make them walk around like a human sacrifice. He then tells them that this is the very tree that they're sitting around. It still even has the nails in it. The smaller bandit then says that he has an idea, and he picks up the little girl, telling her to stand by the tree. He tells everyone that they can do what the druids did and make the girl a sacrifice. He then starts to cut down through the girl's clothes, and then he begins to see a glow flutter around his hand. The glow falls to the ground, and then it comes back up around the tree, and the bandit calls out that whoever's there, come out! As the lightning strikes, he sees a flash, and the face of Guts is looking back at him. The rest of the bandits get up shouting, "What are you doing here?" And Guts looks at the group, telling them that he can't even take a nap in peace around here. The smaller bandit licks his knife, stating that maybe they should just use this guy's guts in place of the brat. Guts walks past the man, grabbing onto his knife and pushing it through his tongue, stating, "I got a better idea instead." He then asks the men if they know who he is, because this will be the last place that they will ever see alive. They stare at Guts and they begin to laugh, and then they all begin to take out their swords, stating that this guy is just so stupid. They begin to swing around, flailing, and they lunge towards Guts. The attacks are deflected, but before the men can react, Guts punches upwards into the man's face, crushing it, as blood begins to drip off the fake hand. Guts looks down, asking, "You can't even take a hit, can you?" The rest of the bandits surround Guts, telling him that's a pretty unusual thing to have for an arm. Looks like they're just gonna have to take it from him. And Guts stops them, telling him, "Wait!" And then he feels the brand on his neck start to bleed. He tells them that he guesses they didn't notice yet, but it's too late anyway. The tree everyone is standing around begins to grow faces, and it looms over everyone. It slams down onto one of the bandits, crushing them, sending bits and pieces of the man flying everywhere. It then picks up the remains and starts to shove it into its mouths, chewing and crunching down on the bodies. The young girl watches, falling to her knees as the tree reaches for her, but as she feels the wind of Guts' sword swinging just over her head, he destroys the tree's arm. The branches begin to fall, and through the debris, the little girl can make out Guts' face, and he's smiling. She looks at the sword, thinking about how big it is, too thick, too heavy, and long. It looks more like a slab of iron. The trees begin to hiss, and Guts quickly slashes through the branches and jumps towards the trunk. As he gets closer, though, the roots from the trees begin to spring up, grabbing and latching onto his body. They begin to eat his arm, but the arm is a mechanical one, since he kind of already lost that other arm in the eclipse. And then there's a loud boom! A cannon fires, stunning the tree, releasing the arm. And through a whirlwind, Guts cuts through the trunk. The swing knocks Guts over, and as the tree breaks apart, the little girl can see the spirits within it beginning to rise. As the spirits leave, the lights begin to shine down, and Guts Guts says that it's been 3 days since he's last seen the sun. The little girl watches and then one of the branches wiggles and leaps towards her. The glow from before returns and it shines down on the branch, causing the spirits to leave. The girl then hears a voice stating that it's sure to kill them every time, and the girl looks back to see the glow is actually Puck, the fairy from the beginning of our story. Guts calls out to Puck, telling him to keep it down, and as the girl stares at Puck, she begins to scream. Puck falls to the ground, trying to tell her that he is not an insect, and the little girl trembles, stating that he's an elf from the Misty Valley. Puck looks at the girl, asking, "What's that?" Meanwhile, back with the bandits, the remaining group continues to run through the forest to get away from the tree monster, but they find themselves running through mist, and as he notices, one of the bandits asks, "This is," and another says they couldn't have, and the men look up to see little lights beginning to fly around them. As the lights stop, the bandits see the little elves, and the one leader says this isn't a fairy tale. Up in the trees, a larger elf says, "Yes, actually it is. It's a fairy tale for little children." A short while later, the little girl leads Guts to the village where she stays, and as Guts looks around, he tells her that it looks kinda run down. The two walk and Guts sees no one. He notices the wells are dried up and he sees an old woman sitting on a bench. The little girl runs ahead checking one of the buildings and then hears someone call out, "Jill!" The woman steps out asking if she's been all right. She's been worried sick. And then a man stumbles out with a bottle asking, "Who do you think you are for leaving just like that, just because I had a little bit to drink?" Jill tells her father that he should be ashamed to wear that helmet, and he says that it doesn't matter. Him and his brother in arms were just reminiscing about the war. The other men inside wave, telling her that they're really sorry about last night. And Jill's mother says that they heard what her father said, that they should get more alcohol. And Jill stops her, asking why? All he ever does is drink and tell stories. Jill's father walks up to her and slaps her to the ground, telling her that brats like her should be left unheard. He fought so that they could protect their wives and children, but rather than sympathy, Jill stares back with hatred. Jill's father begins to hit her with his cane, telling her, "How dare you glare at me like that?" And as he continues to beat her, Guts throws another glowing ball, shocking the man. Jill's father turns back towards Guts, asking, "Who the hell are you?" And Guts holds up Puck, stating, "It was this." Everyone stares at Puck and then shouts, "It's an elf!" People begin to close their doors, shutting their windows, and Puck begins to ask, "Why can't bygones be bygones?" Jill's father shouts for him to not get any closer, but Jill tells them that it's okay. The elf saved her. Soon the doors begin to open and everyone begins to walk back out, all holding axes and farming tools. One of the men from the crowd tells Guts to hand over the elf, and he tells them, "Since you asked so nicely." As the townspeople start to surround Guts, Puck tells him that they should probably hurry and run away. The old woman from before runs up with a hoe, and as she gets closer, Guts trips her, and she tells Guts to give her back her grandchildren. Guts quickly puts Puck back in his pouch, and then he holds up his sword one-handed for everyone to see. He then slams it down onto the wagon and escapes during the confusion. After hopping over a wall, Guts asks what the hell was that about, and then he pulls out 2 flintstones, stating that maybe they should just set fire to the town. While the two of them argue why Puck is even following them, Jill calls out from over the wall that she's sorry, she should have warned them first. Guts tells her not to worry about it, and Jill points to the old windmill, stating that they can hide out there for now. When night comes, she'll bring them food and water. Guts tells her, "Wait until morning. I don't want you to be meeting anything else like we did last night." As Jill returns home, the sun begins to rise the next morning, and she runs over to the windmill to bring the food that she promised. But as she opens the door, she sees the spirits like she did the night before, and they begin to fade away as the sun shines in. She walks over to wake Guts, and Puck tells her not to. Let him sleep a little bit longer. Jill covers Guts with his cloak and sits down thinking about how this black swordsman and elf must come from a strange world. The adventures of Guts and Puck and Casca are now going to continue past the Golden Age as we see Guts eventually try and get his revenge on Griffith. Now, because we fell behind due to a situation of too much travel, we are going to be doing 3 chapters at a time at the moment until we get back to where we should be, which is ahead, and then we'll start doing more chapters. So this was 95, 96, and 97. We'll be bringing you 98, 99, 100 next week. I hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel to keep up to date on Berserk, and follow us on Twitter at Mangastorian to see what's happening with the channel. Thank you and have a good night.